Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. So today we are going to do finding the equation of a line part 2. Now what part 2 entails is that you're given 2 points. All they give you is 2 points. You got to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that passes through those 2 points. So if you're just given 2 points, the first thing you need to want to find out is their slope. We have the points 0, 7, and 1, 9. So first thing to find out is the slope. If we recall, and I have it over here on the right, the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you take your second y coordinate, which will be 9, minus your first y coordinate, which would be 7, over your second x coordinate, which would be 1, minus your first x coordinate, which would be 0. Well, 9 minus 7, that turns into 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. You have 2 over 1, so your slope is 2. We've now identified the slope of this line. Now, we need to find the equation of the line. First, we got to start with our point-slope form, since now we know the slope at least one of the points. Which point you put in for the point-slope form, it doesn't matter. In fact, I'll prove it to you. So let's start out here with y minus y sub 1. We'll use 0, 7. We'll have y minus 7 equal to 2 times x minus your x sub 1, which would be 0. So there's your point slope form. Y minus 7 equals 2 times the quantity of x minus 0. Well, we'll have y minus 7 on the left. Then we don't even really need to do a distributive property because x minus 0 is x, right? You just have 2 times x, you would get 2x. Y minus 7 equals 2x. Well, we want to get this into slope-intercept form ultimately. We got to get the y by itself on the left-hand side. We have minus 7, so we need to do plus 7. You add 7 to the left-hand side, you get y equals 2x. Now you got to add 7 to the right. You would have y equals 2x plus 7. That would be your slope-intercept form of the equation. And let me prove it to you with the other, if we use the other point. So y minus y sub 1, that's 9, would be equal to 2 times x minus your x sub 1, which is 1. Alright, so in point slope form, we have y minus 9 equals 2 times the quantity of x minus 1. Alright, so keep your y minus 9 for a minute. Do your distributive property on the right. 2 times x is 2x, minus 2 times 1 is 2. So you have y minus 9 equals 2x minus 2. Okay, now we have y minus 9. In order to get this into slope-intercept form, we want to just get y by itself. We have minus 9, we need to add 9. So if you add 9 to the left, you do in fact get y equals, then you have the 2x. Now negative 2 plus 9, that turns into plus 7. So this proves that no matter which of these 2 points you use for your point slope form, you should get the same result. Y equals 2x plus 7 is your equation in slope-intercept form that you should get for the line that passes through these 2 points. And I do got more examples. Alright. Next, passing through the points 0, 3, and then we have 2, negative 1. So we need to find the equation in slope-intercept form that passes through the points 0, 3, and 2, negative 1. So again, first thing, if you're only given 2 points, find your slope. the slope is going to be equal to your second y coordinate, which would be -1, minus your first y coordinate, which would be -3, over your second x coordinate, which would be 2, minus your first x coordinate, which would be 0. So you have -1 minus 3 in the numerator turns into -4. 2 minus 0 in the denominator turns into 2. -4 divided by 2, that's -2. So now we have a slope of -2 with this particular line. We have identified the slope. So go ahead and pick whichever point you want to work with for your slope-intercept form. It doesn't matter. For me, I'm picking 0, 3. You could pick 2, -1. You should arrive at the same result. So let's do y minus your y1, which would be 3. You'll have y minus 3 is equal to your slope of -2 times x minus your x sub 1, which is 0. Alright, so we have y minus 3 is equal to -2 times the quantity of x minus 0. That's your point slope form. Ultimate goal is to convert this into slope-intercept form. First, keep your y minus 3 on the left. Alright, on the right side, we know x minus 0 is just x. So you'll have -2 times x, which would give you -2x. So you have y minus 3 is equal to -2x. Well, to get this into true slope-intercept form, we need to get that y by itself on the left-hand side. We have y minus 3. We need to add a 3. You add a 3 to the left, you'll just get y is equal to -2x. Now you got to add a 3 to the right, plus 3. So the equation in slope-intercept form for this particular line would be y equals -2x plus 3. That would be the answer. Okay, what's next here? Alright, this particular line passes through the points 5, 2, as well as 7, 0. Alright, so we got a line that passes through the points 5, 2, and 7, 0. So first, again, find your slope if you're only given 2 points. The slope is going to be equal to your second y coordinate, which is 0, minus your first y coordinate, which is 2. So you have 0 minus 2 over your second x coordinate, which is 7, minus your first x coordinate, which is 5. So you have 0 minus 2 over 7 minus 5. Well, 0 minus 2 turns out to be -2. 7 minus 5 turns out to be +2. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So the slope of this particular line is going to be -1. Now that we've identified the slope, you can go ahead and proceed to point slope form. Alright, well, again, it doesn't matter which of these 2 points you pick to use your point slope form. Pick whichever looks easiest for you. If none of them look easy, just pick one and run with it. But in this case, I think 7 minus 0 looks to be the easiest. You'll see why in a second. So y minus y1, y sub 1, your y sub 1 would be 0, is equal to your slope of -1, or simply just a negative sign of x minus your x sub 1, which is 7. Well, here's your point slope form. Y minus 0 equals negative of the quantity of x minus 7. Well, y minus 0, that's just simply 0. So we got the y by itself on the left-hand side. Now distribute your negative through this quantity. You'd have negative x, then negative 7, that's plus 7. And we've already arrived at slope-intercept form. The equation of this line is y equals -x plus 7. That would be your slope-intercept form. Y equals -x plus 7. If you have a 0 as one of your coordinates, personally I recommend going with that particular point. That's going to make your life a lot easier. Now, if neither of them have a 0, then you kind of just got to pick a point and run with it. But always take the shortcut if you can. Alright, passes through the points -3, 4, and 3, -4. So this particular line passes through the points -3, 4, and 3, -4. So we need to find our slope for the first thing. The slope, of course, is going to be your second y coordinate, which is -4, minus your first y coordinate, which is -4. That'd be -4 there. So -4 minus 4 over, you have your second x coordinate, 3. 3 minus -3, that'd be 3 plus 3. So in the numerator, -4 minus 4, that's going to give you -8 over 3 plus 3, which is 6, which this reduces to -4/3. So your slope is -4/3 for this particular line. Now, we've identified the slope. We need to, therefore, put this in point slope form. Just pick a point and run with it, because neither of them look too particularly appealing. So I'm going to pick -3, 4. So you have y minus your y sub 1, that'd be y minus 4 is equal to -4/3 times the quantity of x minus your x sub 1, x minus -3, that's actually x plus 3. So in point slope form, you have y minus 4 equals -4/3 times the quantity of x plus 3. Keep your y minus 4 for a minute. Now do your distributive property on the right. -4/3 times x is, well, -4/3 x. You get -4/3 x, then you have -4/3 times 3. 3's cancel out, you'll just have -4. So you have y minus 4 equals -4/3 x minus 4. Well, in order to get the slope-intercept form, we need to get the y by itself on the left. We have -4, we need to add 4. So if we add 4 to the left side, you do in fact get y by itself. On the right, you'll still have the -4/3 x, that's not going anywhere. But you have -4 plus 4, that turns a 0. So the slope-intercept form of this equation is y equals -4/3 x. That's all you would get. Y equals -4/3 x. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright, we have a line running through the points 8, 1 and then 1, 8. So we got a line that runs through the points 8, 1 and 1, 8. Alright, so first off, again, find your slope. So your slope is going to be your y2, which is the 8, minus your y1, which is 1, all over your x2, which is 1, minus your x1, which is 8. So you have 8 minus 1 in the numerator, turns out it would be 7. 1 minus 8 in the denominator, that'd be -7. 7 divided by -7, that's going to be -1. Now that we've identified the slope, we can go to point slope form and just pick a point and run with it. So I'm going to pick 8, 1. y minus your y sub 1, which would be 1. You'll have y minus 1. Since your slope is negative 1, we could just put a negative sign outside of the quantity of x minus your x sub 1, which is 8. So point slope form looks like y minus 1 equals negative of the quantity of x minus 8. Keep your y minus 1 for a minute. That'll be equal to, let's do your distributive on the negative sign. You'll have negative x, then negative 8, that's actually plus 8. So far you have y minus 1 equals negative x plus 8. Well, we want to get this in slope-intercept form. We have y minus 1, we want to get y by itself. In order to do that, we need to add 1. If you add 1 to the left, you just get y. That'll be equal to negative x. Then you have plus 8 plus 1, that'd be 9. So the slope-intercept form of the equation you should get is y equals negative x plus 9. Okay, see, I have about 7 more, then we're done. Let's see, negative 2, 4, and then 4, 2. So this particular line passes through the points negative 2, 4, and 4, 2. Again, find your slope. We'll start there. Slope is equal to your second y coordinate of 2 minus your first y coordinate of 4 all over your second x coordinate of 4 minus your first x coordinate of 2. Well, minus 2 actually turns into plus 2. So now what we have here, in the numerator we have 2 minus 4. Well, that turns out to be negative 2 over your denominator 4 plus 2, which is 6. Negative 2, 6 reduces to negative 1/3. So the line has a slope of negative 1/3. Now that we've ascertained the slope, we can go ahead and find the point slope form of the equation. Either way, pick one of these points and run with it. I'm going to do negative 2, 4. So we'll have y minus your y sub 1, which is 4. So y minus 4 equals your slope of negative 1/3 times x minus your x sub 1, which is 2. Well, minus 2 is actually plus 2. Alright, so in slope-intercept form, we have y minus 4 equals negative 1/3 times the quantity of x plus 2. Well, keep your y minus 4 on the left. Now let's do the distributive property on the right. Negative 1/3 times x is negative 1/3. Now you have negative 1/3 times 2. Well, that'd be minus 2/3. So you have y minus 4 equals negative 1/3 x minus 2/3. Okay. This one's not quite as pretty as what we've worked with because we got fractions involved. However, we still want to get the equation in slope-intercept form, which means we need to get that y by itself. Well, in order to get y by itself, we have a minus 4, we need to add 4. If we add 4, you do in fact get y by itself. That'll be equal to negative 1/3 x minus 2/3, but we got to add 4, so plus 4. So you have negative 1/3 x minus 2/3 plus 4. Well, we've been working with denominators of 3 so far. Then we just have this whole number 4. Well, we have a fraction we got to add. Well, 4, that's simply going to be 12/3, isn't it? So you'll have y equals negative 1/3 x minus 2/3 plus 12/3. And now we can put this into a form we can work with. Negative 2/3 plus 12/3, that's 10/3. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 10/3. And we have the equation in slope-intercept form, so the result you should get for this is y equals negative 1/3 x plus 10/3. That would be your answer. I know that looks quite horrendous, doesn't it? That sure does look quite horrendous. But it works, I promise you. Alright. Six more. Let's see. We have the points 3, -1, and 6, 7. So this particular line runs through the points 3, -1, and 6, 7. Well, start out by finding your slope again. So the slope is your second y-coordinate of 7 minus your first y-coordinate of -1. Well, 7 minus -1 turns into 7 plus 1. All over your second x-coordinate of 6 minus your first x-coordinate of 3. So you have 7 plus 1 over 6 minus 3. Well, 7 plus 1 in the numerator is 8. 6 minus 3 in the denominator is 3. And we can't reduce this any further. So your slope of this line is going to be 8/3. That's your slope, is 8/3. Now, we can do the point slope form. I'm going to pick the point 3, -1 to use that. So we'll have y minus your y sub 1. Well, minus minus 1, that's actually plus 1. You'll have y plus 1 equals your slope of 8/3 times the quantity of x minus your x sub 1 of 3. So in point slope form, we have y plus 1 equals 8/3 times the quantity of x minus 3. Alright, well, let's keep your y plus 1 on the left-hand side. Do the distributive property on the right. 8/3 times x is, well, 8/3 x. Then you have 8/3 times -3, which would just become -8. So you have y plus 1 equals 8/3 x minus 8. Well, the goal is to get y by itself to make its slope-intercept form. We have y plus 1, we need to subtract 1. So if you subtract 1 from the left, you'll just get y by itself. That'd still have your 8/3 x. Now you have minus 8 minus 1, that'd be minus 9. So the slope-intercept form of this equation would be y equals 8/3 x minus 9. And if you ever want to make sure you're getting these right, if you would like to make sure you're getting these right, you can stick either one of these points into your slope-intercept form of the equation. You should get the points back out. That's how you check your math to make sure you got the equation right if you're unsure. Alright, 5 more. Alright, what we got here? -3, 1, and 1, -4. So the line passes through the points negative 3, 1 and 1, negative 4. Start out finding your slope. Slope is your second y-coordinate of negative 4 minus your first y-coordinate of 1. So negative 4 minus 1 over your second x-coordinate of 1 minus negative 3 turns into 1 plus 3. So in the numerator, negative 4 minus 1, that's negative 5. Denominator, 1 plus 3, that's 4. So the slope of this line should be negative 5/4. Now, we've identified the slope. Let's go ahead and do point slope form. I'm going to pick the point negative 3, 1. You have y minus your y sub 1, which would be 1. So y minus 1 equals your slope of negative 5/4 times x minus x sub 1. Your x sub 1 is negative 3, so minus 3 is actually plus 3. So in point slope form, you have y minus 1 equals negative 5/4 times the quantity of x plus 3. Keep your y minus 1 on the left for a minute. Now do the distributive property on the right. You'll have negative 5/4 times x is negative 5/4 x. Negative 5/4 times 3, that would be minus 15/4. So you have negative y minus 1 equals negative 5/4 x minus 15/4. Well, the goal is to get this into slope-intercept form, which means we got to get the y by itself on the left. We have y minus 1. We need to add 1. We add 1 to the left, you just get y is going to be equal to that negative 5/4 x, because that's not going anywhere. Then you'll have negative 15/4 plus 1. Well, again, we got a fraction and a whole number to add. Well, we know 1 is 4/4, right? Y equals negative 5/4 x minus 15/4 plus 4/4. Now we got this in a form we can work with. Negative 15/4 plus 4/4, that gives you negative 11/4. So y equals negative 5/4 x minus 11/4. That would be the slope-intercept form of this equation. Y equals negative 5/4 x minus 11/4. You will do some of these and they will not be very fun. They will have fractions involved and all kinds of stuff. So that's why it's important to be able to be proficient in doing fractions. It's important to be proficient in converting fractions and adding and subtracting fractions, because this will come up a lot. And we should only have 4 more. Alright. 0, negative 1, and then 1, 4. So the line passes through the points 0, negative 1, and 1, 4. Once again, go ahead and find your slope. Your slope would be your second y-coordinate of 4 minus your first y-coordinate of negative 1. Well, 4 minus negative 1 actually turns out to be 4 plus 1 over your second x-coordinate of 1 minus your first x-coordinate of 0. So in the numerator, we have 4 plus 1, that's 5. Denominator, we have 1 minus 0, that's just 1. Well, 5 divided by 1 is 5. So this line has a slope of 5. Now that we've identified the slope, we can use the point slope form. Pick whichever point you like. I'm going to go with 0, negative 1 since there's a 0 in it. It's going to make life a lot easier. So y minus y sub 1, which is negative 1, y minus negative 1 turns out to be y plus 1. That's going to be equal to your slope of 5 times the quantity of x minus your x sub 1, which is 0. So you got y plus 1 equals 5 times the quantity of x minus 0 in point slope form. Well, keep your y plus 1 for a minute. Now on the right side, x minus 0, that's just x. So you'll have 5 times x, which would be 5x. Y plus 1 equals 5x. We're almost ready to convert this into slope-intercept form. We just have y plus 1. We need to get y by itself. Since we have plus 1, we need to subtract 1. If we do that, you do in fact get y by itself would be equal to 5x. Now you just do the minus 1. So y is equal to 5x minus 1. That would be the slope-intercept form of the equation. And that would be your answer. Y equals 5x minus 1. Three more. 1, negative 2. Alright. Negative 1, negative 2, and 0, 3. So we have a line that passes through the 2 points of negative 1, negative 2, and 0, 3. Again, find your slope first. So your slope would be your second y-coordinate of 3 minus your first y-coordinate of negative 2. Well, 3 minus negative 2 actually turns out to be 3 plus 2 over your second x-coordinate of 0 minus your first x-coordinate of negative 1. 0 minus negative 1 actually turns out to be 0 plus 1. Okay. So, in the numerator we have 3 plus 2, which is 5. In the denominator we have 0 plus 1, which is 1. Well, 5 divided by 1, that's 5. So the slope of this line is going to be 5. Now that we've identified the slope, we can do point slope form. Since there's a 0 involved, I'm going to pick the point 0, 3. So pick y minus your y sub 1, which is 3. That would be equal to my slope of 5 times the quantity of x minus x sub 1, which is 0. So in point slope form, I have y minus 3 equals 5 times the quantity of x minus 0. Well, keep your y minus 3 for a minute. Now on the right hand side, x minus 0, that's just x. You'll have 5 times x, which is 5x. So y minus 3 equals 5x. Then what you'll have to do is get that y by itself. If you do that, you'll have to add a 3. So if you add 3 to both sides, you'll get y is equal to 5x plus 3. And that would be the slope-intercept form of this equation. Y would equal 5x plus 3. Got 2 more. Negative 2, 0, and then we got 2, negative 3. So the line passes through the points negative 2, 0 and 2, negative 3. Well, first find your slope. Slope is equal to your y2 of negative 3 minus your y1 of 0. So negative 3 minus 0 all over x2, which is 2, minus your x1 of negative 2 minus negative 2 is actually plus 2. So in the numerator you have negative 3 minus 0, that's negative 3 over 2 plus 2 in your denominator, 4. So the slope of this line is going to be negative 3/4. Now we can do the point slope form, I'm going to pick the point negative 2, 0 since there's a 0 involved. Y minus your y sub 1, which is 0, you'll have y minus 0 is equal to your negative 3/4 slope times x minus your x sub 1 point. Well, minus 2 is actually plus 2. So the left side, y minus 0, that's just y. So you have y equals negative 3/4 times x is negative 3/4 x. Now you have negative 3/4 times 2, well, that'd be minus 3/2. So the slope-intercept form of this particular line would be y equals negative 3/4 x minus 3/2. And we got one more and we're done for the day. We got 3, 0 and negative 2, 5. So the line passes through the points 3, 0 and negative 2, 5. Well, first find your slope. Your slope is going to be your second y point of 5 minus your first y point of 0. So 5 minus 0 over your second x point of negative 2 minus your first x point of negative 3. So in the numerator you have 5 minus 0, that's 5. In the denominator you have negative 2 minus 3, that's negative 5. 5 divided by negative 5 is negative 1. So therefore we have a slope of negative 1 on this line. Now we need to find the point slope form. So I'm going to pick the point 3, 0. Well, y minus your y sub 1, which is 0, you have y minus 0 is equal to, since the slope's negative 1, we can just put a negative sign outside of the x minus your x sub 1, which is 3. So we have in point slope form now, y minus 0 equals negative of the quantity of x minus 3. Well, on the left side, y minus 0, that's just y. So you got y equals the negative of x, which is negative x, then negative negative 3, that's plus 3. So the slope-intercept form of the equation you should get is y equals negative x plus 3. And that's really all there is to it. If you're given 2 points, find the slope, and then just do as we did in yesterday's lesson. Pick a point, put it in point slope form, convert to slope-intercept, and you're done. So next lesson is going to be probably a much shorter lesson. It's going to be about functions. We're going to start talking about functions in the next lesson. So I hope everyone has a good day. Take care.